So the most asked questions I get on this channel is, being a second floor wood shop, how's that going to work logistically? How are you going to get things up and down? How are you going to get larger stuff up and down? Things like that, questions of that nature. Some of you have been with the channel for a long time may remember watching us hoist timbers up through this hole right here that we have a trap door on now. We hoisted 16-foot long green 10x10s just on a pair of 2x6 pressure treated 16-footers sistered together. It worked really well. So we're going to use the same method to get things up here. The next main project I have here for the shop that we're going to be doing the next series on is going to be some cabinetry for the house, because we're in the process of making some room in there. With 3 kids in a 1,500 square foot house, it's kind of cramped. So we have to be a little bit smarter with the way we store things. There will be an addition going on, but we're not there yet financially and whatnot, because I'm not going to the bank for it. So anyway, tonight we're going to build a plywood dolly, or a sheet goods dolly, something that I can lower down through the floor. It's on wheels. I can roll it right to the door, load the sheet goods on it, roll it right under this trap door, and hoist it up. Takes most of the physical work out of it. And being a gimpy guy, well, that's going to be kind of nice. So anyway, stay tuned. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll catch you on the other side of it. A while ago why I use screws and everything. The main reason is it's just so much easier to take stuff apart, because if I don't like something, I like to be able to revamp it, and makes it a lot easier. There. I think that's about all we have time for tonight. Tomorrow night we're going to try to use this thing. Aye. Grunt and groan, grunt and groan. So the idea of this is I want to make sure my load is evenly distributed, because we're going to be hauling stuff up through the floor on this thing. So I don't want it tipping one way or the other coming up through the hole. I didn't leave a lot of clearance. I only left like maybe an inch on each side of this thing, so it's got to come up through fairly straight. But I do need to, let's go 6.5, sounds like a good number. This will be interesting. Let's see what we get here. I know I'm probably blocking the shot here. Oh, doesn't have to be super scientific. I think we say that way too much here. Come on. These pieces are hemlock. And that's really my only complaint on DeWalt is their chucks. Tend to loosen up on you. Pain right in the ass. You're probably thinking, when's he going to slip and take his hand out? Don't worry, I will be the first to know. Freaking chucks. Every time. Alright, see what we get. This ought to be an interesting thing, but I have some ideas for it. So I'll turn you guys where you can see it again. I know we're going to shake the camera, guys. I apologize. It's just the way it is. Not much I can really do about it. It's going to be one interesting looking thing. Let's see what we get here. Freaking DeWalt chucks. You suck. Nice. Look at that. Yeah, you dirtbag. You dirtbag. Not so much trouble drilling a tiny little hole. Holy shit, what a piece of garbage. You know, my old 18-volt DeWalt chucks, I never had a friggin' problem with those things. They grip and grip and grip. Never an issue. These damn 20-volt ones, if anybody's watching from DeWalt, not that this channel's that big, maybe you ought to look into that. That would be awesome. I think it's a little frustrating. Okay. Love your impacts, hate your drill chucks. Happens there. There. So you guys get the idea. Get a couple pieces of sheet goods on each side. Flip these up, lean them in, lock them down right there. Just to keep it from tipping over. We have a couple of, well, let's see. We have stop blocks like that on all four corners to do the same thing. Hopefully this will work. We'll see. I know when we go to put our straps on here, I left this about 1 inch high so my straps will clear the top of the pieces of plywood, because cabinet grade plywood is not cheap. And the other thing, I'm not going to want to leave it on the stand terribly long, because I just don't want to. I don't want the pieces taken on a bow, but I've got the pieces downstairs, and I think tomorrow night we'll get them up here, test this thing out. Well, there we are, folks. We actually started and completed a project in one video. Now all we have to do is test it out, see how well it works. Should be plenty of strong. There's enough screws in this thing to build a house. We'll see how this works out. I may have to add some kind of a brace to keep that, but there's enough screws in there. It should be okay. Big concern is getting it up. Once it's sitting on the floor, I'm not worried about it. The big thing is getting it up through the floor without having this thing fall apart. Fortunately, nobody's going to be under it when we test it out. I may just test it out on some junk stuff first, because I've got $300 worth of cabinet plywood down there that I really don't want to ruin. But It's like anything else. We've said it in a lot of videos here lately. One project leads you into another, We built a planer stand because I'm going to be planing a lot of cabinet wood, cherry, poplar, stuff like that. And I don't want to deal with all that planer snipe. You lose 6 inches on a board by the time you do a planer snipe on these little lunchbox planers. So I really don't feel like doing that. That has improved it phenomenally. You still get just a tiny little bit, but it's not digging in nearly like it was, where I could barely see it now. So we get it tuned in a little more, and I'm noticing the more I use it, the less planer sniping I am getting. So I guess what we're saying, so we built that to planer cabinet wood. We got the table saw up here to kind of help with that and help with the planer stand. This is getting built so that I don't have to try to run big pieces of cabinet plywood 3/4 and 1/2 inch up the stairs. We've got a trap door here for a reason. We have chain falls for a reason. Eventually we're going to add a nice electric winch so that I don't have to worry about rusty chains rubbing on the wood I'm trying to bring up, which I'm going to have to do something to negate that tomorrow night when we try this out. But we try this out tomorrow night, and by the weekend, hopefully, we will start to be working on a few more things to get into our cabinet building. I've got to build another little router table. For right now, we're just going to do a throw together, mount it on the top of the bench when I need it type thing. And then as we get into it, funds become available, I can buy some of the nicer stuff to do it with. We'll build a nice router stand with a lift and all that inside of it. But for right now, we're going low tech, low budget. Plus, you know, to kind of give you guys who are new into this, and to give you some insight that, hey, you really don't need all that fancy stuff that you see in all these channels. And not that we don't all want it, because boy, I would love to have a shop full of really fancy tools. They just make everything easier. But I'm going to show you guys that you don't need majorly fancy stuff to build nice things. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We're making do with what we have. And a lot of you who watch this channel, you guys are in the same boat. When you talk about reality, you're talking about, you've got a channel here that doesn't have the tool sponsors. He doesn't have people just sending them tons of stuff all the time to do this thing. So we're working with what we have. To be honest with you, most people can't afford a lot of that stuff you see on there. And they still want to be able to do the work. Well, like I said, we're going to show you how you can do that work without sinking a ton of money into it. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you on the next one.